I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. The next meeting of the Board of Education is on September 8th, 2026. For the chairperson's report tonight, thank you all for being here tonight. I hope that everyone had a great summer. I would like to thank all of our faculty and staff for running our successful ESY and summer school programs for our students this summer. Thank you also to our facilities staff and HHR Building Committee for all of your work over the summer to finish up the HHR building project so that Holmes, Hindley, and Royal would be ready for our students to start this fall. As we begin the 2026-27 school year, I had the honor of addressing our faculty and staff at our annual convocation last week. A highlight for me was hearing from a panel of our students who shared things they felt it was important for our teachers to know based on their own personal experiences, along with a few of their own suggestions about what we might consider changing. It took a lot of courage for them to speak openly in front of all of our faculty, and I want to let all of our students know how incredibly important their feedback is to us. Thank you. Dr. Byrne.
Good evening, everyone.
Sorry, we're going to public comment. Apology.
Good evening. If anyone would like to participate in public comment, please approach the podium and wait to be recognized. Once recognized, please state your name and town of residency and note that you'll have up to 3 minutes to comment. We have no public comment at this time.
Thank you. Dr. Byrne.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the August 25th Board of Education meeting. Teachers reported last Thursday for the start of the school year, and we held convocation on Friday at Darien High School. Many thanks to the Board of Education members who were able to attend, the students that participated in our panel discussion, as well as First Selectman John Zagrodzky, who joined us. Our faculty, staff, and administrators are very excited for the new year. We were able, thanks to Jeff's wizardry, to record convocation, so I'll be sharing that with the board in the Friday report. I would like to recognize our custodial, technology, and facilities departments, along with our 12-month clerical staff for their extraordinary efforts in preparing us for the start of school, with a special note of thanks to the crews at Hindley, Holmes, and Royal, who it was really quite an extraordinary dance that they danced in navigating major construction. Also, thank you to Kevin Monrette, who's here tonight, for spearheading all of that work. Last week, activation links were sent out for Parent Square, our new streamlined platform for district-wide and school-level communications. So if you've not yet done so, please take a moment to set up your account so you don't miss emergency alerts, welcome letters, or crucial news from your child's school. And tomorrow morning, we'll welcome students back for the start of the 26-27 school year. I look forward to visiting all of our campuses over these first few days. Each day, our central administration team will be at schools for arrival and dismissal, giving us the opportunity to greet families as they drop off their children. I will also be once again joining an elementary bus ride later this week for the start of the school year. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you. We will now move on to presentation, discussion, and possible action, starting with the summer recap presentation, curriculum and instruction, special education and student services, facilities, human resources, and enrollment. I'll turn it over to Dr. Byrne.
We're very happy. Last year, I said this would become a traditional presentation where we share all of the exciting and productive things that happened during the course of the summer. My portion is quite brief because my colleagues were leading the incredible work that's happened here this summer. But I would just say one area of focus for me this summer was on communication, on the onboarding, the completion of the hiring and the onboarding of our new director of communications, who's here tonight. Caitlin Waterlow back in the back of the room, talking a little bit about Parent Square. If you haven't and are not yet following the district on Instagram, there's been some great information pushed out on Instagram as well. So we're working hard to streamline all of our communications. And Caitlin's been working across the buildings to get consistency and alignment in our communications across the schools. And I know she's in the midst of a deep dive in the website and looking to make some improvements there. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues, and we'll begin with Amy Fettigan, who's going to do a quick overview of what's been going on in curriculum and instruction.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Byrne. Good evening, everyone. Happy night before the first day of school. It's an exciting night for all of us in Darien Public Schools, and I wish everyone, all of our kids returning tomorrow, to have a wonderful year ahead. Tonight, I'm delighted to share a summer recap, all of the work that we've engaged in the last few weeks. A lot of people might think that the summer is a sleepy time in the school district. I assure you it is not. Tonight, I look forward to an opportunity to showcase the high impact work that we engaged in together to get ready for a successful school year. Everything that we centered our work around this summer, and of course beyond as we open our schools, is centered on the strategic plan, the 26-2031 strategic plan that we've recently revised, and I think is an item for the consent agenda this evening. We also, of course, are focusing our work on the vision of the graduate. The actual strategic plan has 4 goal areas, and those, are around teaching and learning for student growth and well-being, staff recruitment and retention practices, community engagement and communication, strategic planning, and operational efficiency. And as a reminder, we wove professional learning, instructional technology, and the vision of the graduate through those plans, through that strategic plan goal areas to kind of streamline our work. This slide is a slide that I showed, a similar slide last year, that shows the curriculum projects that took place. They're in small font because there were many of them. The good news is that there are course overviews and stage 1 curriculum documents for the opening of the school year for all of our courses. The elementary level, the elementary grades have course overviews for the core subject areas. And as you know, we recently adopted a new resource in K through 3, HMH into reading. We're piloting in grades 4 and 5, 2 resources, the units of study, and also HMH into reading in those upper grades. So those curriculum documents will continue to be revised into the year ahead. Something that I would love to show you is a curriculum storyboard. If you could click that link, Cass. Something that we're doing at the elementary level is we're continuing to build out, it's the link that says, there you go. We're continuing to build out curriculum storyboards. So again, if you go on our website into the teaching and learning section and you look at the district curriculum, and this is an example of if you went into 5th grade social studies, you would see a curriculum storyboard, which is just a way to kind of narratively describe, almost like a story or a journey, what a student will experience through the course of a unit. And so, you could see here, I pulled out unit 4 is in order to form a more perfect union, building branches and balancing scales. And so there would be like a little story at the beginning of the unit that's in student-friendly and parent-friendly language that helps us to all understand kind of where we're going to navigate the year in a grade level and a subject area. So those will be for each of the core areas at the elementary level. Also at the elementary level, we revised the assessment calendar. Our intention there was to reduce the assessments, but beyond reducing, ensure that we're streamlining assessments so that we're getting the right information to inform instruction in the moment and be responsive to student needs in the moment. So that we've spent a lot of time the last few days in professional learning, reviewing that assessment calendar, and that will be a focus area of our work when we think about MTSS in the year ahead. Because again, that's all about data literacy, making sure we have the right data points to inform teaching and learning for our individual students. And then the final thing at the elementary level is the classroom library catalog project. So if you recall, we agreed to engage in a really big lift very late in the spring, and we cataloged all of 4th and 5th grade classroom libraries, and those have been completed. And so that means when we gather again for open house, families will have access to a link, so they will be able to see the classroom libraries for each of their children's classrooms. And so that just provides access again for parents to understand what the titles are and to see the books that kids will have in their hands. So now we're shifting our attention to K through 3. We made a pretty significant dent in Tokenique and Oxbridge, but as you know, with HHR construction this summer, we're going to have to continue that project as the year goes forward. You can also see, if you look at middle school and high school, we're making significant moves, not only the stage 1 overview and stage 1 curricular units. And remember, that was an obligation also to fulfill a state statute that we would have a scope and sequence available for our public with regard to the curriculum documents. We've also now made some moves to, in each course, continue ahead with stages 2 and 3. Just a quick reminder, when we write curriculum, when you hear me talk about stages, we're writing with that understanding by design, that UBD framework. And all that really means is we want to ask, what do we want our children to know and be able to do according to the standards and skills? How will we know that they've mastered those things? And then really mapping out a course of individual lessons to make sure we can get there. We've also maintained our commitment to ensuring that we have universal design for learning tenets built into the curriculum. So we co-write curriculum with our colleagues in special education and also our reading and math interventionists and our ML coordinator for the district. So those are some of the significant projects that you see there. And again, I think the strength of our curriculum is that it's written within the school system by our staff and for our students here. Just some quick updates on professional learning. We did host our 3-day new staff onboarding program. That provided us an opportunity to be very clear with our staff to set high expectations for performance, very clear high expectations for the caliber of teaching and learning that we expect, but also to communicate high levels of support. And our colleagues left saying that they felt very supported and ready to start their first days. In fact, I think Dr. Byrne wrote a little bit about that and gave some direct feedback quotes in the last update to the board. You can also see that we continue to send staff in the summer for summer training to Taft for AP courses. That's really important, not only that we keep those professional learning sessions current with our staff, but we expand the number of staff members that are trained because you have to have a special certification to teach those AP courses. Additionally, remember that we also have focused on our literacy from a K-12 perspective. So we're thinking about our strong foundation in K-3, the pilot I mentioned just a few minutes ago in grades 4 through 5. And you can imagine we're looking ahead because we want to make sure that we have a smooth transition from students at the elementary to the middle school level. So we still have that work going on when we think about a district perspective for literacy, teaching and learning across the district. And then the thing that I think was probably our biggest commitment through the spring and into the summer was developing our MTSS framework. Remember, that's multi-tiered systems of support. The idea there is to ensure that we have a very rigorous curriculum. We have a robust curriculum with very strong instructional and assessment practices, that we're providing professional learning to meet the needs of our staff, to meet the needs of our students. And what we've done is we've really designed a district staff handbook that has specific appendices for the elementary level, the middle school level, and the high school level, so that we can pinpoint. For example, today we were looking at appendices for executive functioning. We know that that will be a critical area of our work, especially with our middle level learners. So there are resources there that the staff will be using that are consistent and coherent across the system. And the thing that we're going to kind of turn our attention to next is EduClimber. You know that the board, through the budget process last year, approved a data dashboard, which will ensure that we have effective and efficient use of our data over time so that we can make sure we're tracking students through their trajectory, as early as pre-K and K, all the way up through grade 12, so we can be more efficient with our interventions and ensure that all students are appropriately challenged. So what we'll do next is begin to build that out for our school system and provide our staff with professional learning, focusing first on the administrative team and the interventionists and coaches. And so that's really exciting work, and I think will help to kind of tie all of the work together in the strategic plan. I hope you can see through this some very clear lines to the strategy areas in the strategic plan and the goal areas. Okay, I'm going to turn it now, unless anybody has questions, or if you want to save those for the end. I don't know how you want to handle those tonight.
Why don't we do questions after
Sure.
each major section? Thank you very much for that update. One question I have is the EduClimber. What is the status right now? Because I know the data and creating that kind of download or upload is a time-intensive thing. So how does that?
Very time intensive. So
stand right now?
the good news is, and that's a great question. We have Aspen, our SIS student information system. So really our data is in there. And we want that to kind of be the original container, but EduClimber helps us kind of analyze the data more efficiently and effectively. Also, it can pull data in from sources like AimsWeb, which is our universal screener. So right now we've collected all of the data that the district has had historically for our students, from our students who are in kindergarten last year and beyond. We've had that full data upload. And now what we're doing is building forms that will match our district procedures for MTSS. And so that's where we are. And then what we'll do is we'll have an onboarding for EduClimber for that group I mentioned before. And then our MTSS teams this year will begin to look at data through EduClimber, also set agendas for MTSS meetings. And then they'll also be recording individual student data there and interventions that are applied. And then that way, when a student moves from one grade level, to the next, teachers will be able to see which interventions were successful, when students can exit from an intervention, and when we might need to apply a different intervention. So that's where we are with EduClimber, and we will be using it before the end of our first benchmarking period in the early fall.
Just to follow up then on the tracking of students and how they're doing, I would assume this really, because this is a new system, would really be tracking the students that are currently going to be in the MTSS or going through that, right? As opposed to maybe students that are in older grades and just how they are tracking it. But the focus right now is really on the MTSS.
So it's a great
implementation, right?
question. So remember that MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support, is really all students.
Right.
Because tier one is every student that's in the general education setting, exclusive of interventions or extension opportunities. And so what we have done is we've pulled all of the historical data from Aspen. So we have all the existing data in there. So it's that data and looking forward to the data that we'll collect this year.
Okay, thank you.
So it's going to be both.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions? Joanna?
So this MTSS, are we starting day one with this and we've put SRBI to the side and this is the new regime for everything?
Right. So SRBI is really around interventions for students who require support at tier two or tier three. So either, fewer students with some increased intervention support or an even smaller group of students with really intensive interventions. MTSS is all students. So yes, that will be the very beginning of the school year. It begins with the curriculum, it begins with the assessment calendar, those kind of tier one structures, and then the MTSS process.
But it doesn't change the support that kids are getting. It's
Right, I was
a
just wondering if we're using this new
repackaging.
framework and guidelines.
Repackaging and I think using the data more efficiently and more effectively to target instruction than we have before.
Thank you. Are there other questions? Bill?
So Aspen is the base database,
Mhm.
and EduClimber kind of sits on top of that, is able to pull from that. And does it come with analytical tools?
It does.
Trend lines,
It
things
does.
like that? And can you do collate data beyond just a single student? Can you look at across the whole grade, for instance?
Yeah, so one of the things that we'll look at, this EduClimber will meet our needs to provide intervention and extension for individual students. It will help us look at courses. It will help us look at curricular areas to look at grade levels. So we'll be able to do all kinds of levels of analysis, and that helps to not only kind of track individual student performance, but look at, again, the effectiveness of curriculum. If there might be a gap in a curricular area, it helps us do that kind of systems thinking as well.
And as far as EduClimber is concerned, that seems to be a lot of programming to put the forms in, develop the forms. Who's doing that lift for us?
So this has been a really great partnership with my colleagues in the Information and Technology Department. They've been very helpful in pulling in the historical data and understanding the back end piece. I am working with Tim McGuire, who you know is our coordinator for instructional technology, and a very small handful of staff members to ensure that we have forms that meet our needs at the elementary, middle, and high school level. That will not be very time intensive to develop those forms. We have some systems in place that will be able to kind of massage and manipulate those forms that we've been using for other parts of SRBI to better meet the needs of our MTSS framework.
So this is something we're doing in-house, and
Yes.
And are you satisfied with the in-house expertise to accomplish these tasks?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. It's going to be a big learning curve for all of us, but I think it's going to be a very useful tool and very instructive for our work.
The learning is the end users, you and your staff, but the
Right.
building the back office infrastructure is what my question is really
Right.
about.
And then, the change management, it's really important that we're thinking about a smaller group in the beginning of myself, some key district and building level leaders, including interventionists and coaches. And then what we'll do is we'll have a follow-up plan for some early adopters in the spring, and then next year a plan to make sure that we brought in the end user for EduClimber. So right now, when teachers go to meetings, it will be a small group of leaders, administrators, interventionists that kind of have EduClimber up and are sharing the data. And then teachers next year will be able to do that themselves.
So that's your rollout group, so to speak.
Right. But we'll be using the data in EduClimber to inform our
Try
work
to
this year.
stress test it. before
Yeah,
you roll it
yep.
out. So
We'll be using it fully this year to inform our work. And as far as MTSS, I know that we'll look forward to an opportunity later in the year to provide an update about how MTSS is functioning in the school system and how EduClimber is supporting that work.
forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Will the curriculum storyboards have the assigned text and resources that the students will be leveraging?
You got me. I should have thought to mention that before. Yes, at the elementary level, the primary resources for the course, text and resources, should be in the overview section. Mostly at the high school level, they're in the stage 1 section, but they're very easy to find. You might not see, we haven't turned everyone on right now. So if you see something that's not there, Dr. Burns said, I missed something in English language arts. I can see it on the back end so that I know they're there, and we'll be opening those up. So that's there. And the other piece I should have mentioned with regard to the curriculum is, while you saw the elementary work had to do with like the assessment calendar and thinking about the curriculum storyboards and the cataloging of the classroom libraries. At the secondary level, we spent a lot of time developing common core syllabi with assured experiences so that students within the same course who are in different sections will have, their experiences will mirror one another more closely. So those syllabi will also be available on EduClimber.
Thank you. Other questions?
Good questions.
Okay, so no more questions on curriculum and
Thank you,
instruction.
everyone.
We can move on to special education. Thank you.
We just look at our professional learning planning. We're excited about continuing our work. I think we need to put this in our professional learning and planning, our Orton Gillingham. We're continuing our OG Academy. We spoke earlier, or last May, when we spoke about our long-term goals. We have associate level certification. So our cohorts 1A and 1B, which are all special education teachers on the elementary school level, will be continuing their second year of coursework. Again, one half of the cohort is going into the second completion, so they will actually be certified associate levels by the end of this school year. And cohort 1B will have that the following year. We're excited to continue practical coursework. They'll participate in 5-day intensive coursework this year. Also, they're staggering it this year. So instead of 5 consecutive weeks, there'll be one. The first one's on September 18th. Then there's one in October. There's one in January, one in March, April, and there'll be a makeup to be determined date. The general education teachers, alongside working with Amy and Jen Falcone also, they're going to start their 3A, 3B, and those are the classroom structured literacy level. That's a different level of certification from the OG Academy. Those are general education teachers, and they're focusing on classroom instruction. They're getting coaching on strategies and methodology of implementing OG lesson designs in their classroom. We'll also, on the new cohort, because we're moving on to teachers in our cohort 4, and those will be new practitioners. So new special education teachers who are new to our district this year. And some new general education teachers also will be starting their 5-day coursework. Because it's ongoing and there's a smaller number, our first cohort was 20 teachers. This time we'll probably have 4 or 6. We're not quite sure yet. We're looking for enrollment. So that will be online. The advantage of that is OG Academy has online opportunities. They can participate in doing the first level of their training. So we're looking forward to that as well. That also will help with new hires. When we look at behavioral clinical consultation with Dr. Melissa Collier-Meek, actually our professional learning started this week on the 24th of August with our elementary school psychologists. They continue to work on implementing the consultant model in general education classrooms. We spoke last year about that, the idea of empowering, giving agency to teachers on implementing some of the strategies that work with managing behavior, managing focus, attention in different areas within the classroom. They're continuing that on all levels, but the first training this year we decided to do on the elementary level because we're working also with the prime model of looking for students who will help support general education teachers. Those are from Teachers College in helping to implement the program and the framework. Our systems planning for paraprofessional guidance documents. If you recall, last year we spoke that we piloted in the spring. I know we presented on that in May as well. We collected feedback from administrators and from certified staff. We incorporated that feedback into a document, worked on that this summer with feedback on ongoing process. We proposed the purpose of it was really to identify the role of the paraeducator and how we're going to monitor the success of the implementation of the support that they provide for students. We shared the guidance document with all administration at our retreat in the summer, back on August 13th, and all administrators will be responsible for implementing and facilitating the implementation of these guidance documents and PPTs starting in the fall of this year. For our service tracking and notification, I think we've spoken about this at different times, and there were parents who really wanted to have updated and regular reporting on the elementary level. We've had it successfully on the secondary level because we're able to use Aspen because we take period attendance on the secondary level. We did not have as much success on the elementary level, looking at different opportunities to do that, the different mechanisms. So as of the fall, parents will be notified in the weeks ahead of our new tracking system. Thank you to IT also for helping us in different resources. So at the administrators retreat, again on August 13th, all elementary administrators were trained on the mechanism, which is going to be a Google Sheet document. That sheet will implement daily recording of related services and programs in special education. There are descriptions as to how the tracker works per student, the team access, the updating frequency of it, how parents will access it, and also the etiquette to using the form. Secondary practitioners, of course, will just continue using Aspen. We did look at implementing Aspen on the elementary level, which would be the most efficient and simplest way to do it. We weren't able to successfully launch that at this time. Since we don't take attendance on the elementary level every period, we do it once a day. So hopefully we'll find a more efficient. We looked into Parent Square as well. We looked at Caitlin for some assistance also in looking at the most efficient ways to track that. I think our Google Sheets is a great beginning and is efficient and will inform parents in a timely manner. Our established UConn Stanford residency, we're really excited about. So this year was the first year we'll have 3 special education residents from UConn Stanford. 2 of them will be here 3 days a week and working and supporting in the classroom and also completing their graduate studies. 1 will be here for the whole year. That will be our intern. She will be here for the first part, also supporting and working within the classroom. And the second part will be her student teaching for her practicum to receive her graduate studies. In our new regulation implementation, this year we also were required by the state to update our training for our facilitation of paraeducators. Paraeducators are responsible now and they'll have professional learning. It's done online for any paraeducator who works with students who are 14 years or older to look at transition goals. We're commencing that in the fall and the training as well. And restraint and seclusion was an update to all administrators at our retreat that there is new updated legislation of the timeliness of reporting restraint and seclusion within 24 hours, the same day. Our special education student services, our extended school year, another successful year. Thank you to all of these extraordinary students, teachers, related service providers, paraeducators, everyone in our programs, both in ELP and in K through 12 plus services. You can see the recommendations consistently. They're a little bit down this year, actually 2026. There also was a decrease this year in student enrollment as well. Our attendance has been consistent of those students who do attend. At our early learning program, you can see it's been consistent over the last 3 years. Later, you'll see in the year also as we go through that, there were some exciting activities that happened every week over at ELP. I'm sure many of the families had those opportunities shared with their students. And lastly, we're always looking at our education and student services. If you look at our staffing, both in ELP and in our K through 12 plus opportunities, they've been consistent. We've been very fortunate in being able to really fill the positions and availability. We have noted, though, that I think what's allowed that to happen is we've been flexible. Some providers want to work 3 days a week, some want to work 4 days a week, and we've been lucky and fortunate that we've been able to work our program successfully with our in-house personnel and some out-house, or out of district, I should say. And those are, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Question, Joanna?
Can we go back and talk about the Stanford residencies with the partnership? Is this, on the slide, it said it was a special education teacher. I thought our partnership was for school psychologists, those interns. Is this
Those are
different?
2 different, they're different.
Okay, so when did this residency program start?
It's starting now. It's the first time.
Oh, okay.
So these are not the special education, these are not the school psychologist interns. Fortunately, we've been able to have 3 residents coming. It's our first time with this program. I believe this with UConn. I think also Dr. Scott McCarthy has helped facilitate that also. He was teaching a course. And I think that also helped really rally and make our connection with UConn.
So these are like student teachers specifically for special education?
Yes.
Okay. And does this cost us anything, or is it just like a win-win situation here?
There is a cost if the residents who work 3 times weekly, if they can get sub pay, and the intern does not receive any. No pay.
It's a win-win. Because it's also an
Win-win.
opportunity to
And
develop
recruit.
people that we can consider for vacancies in the future.
And recruitment, Dr. Burn, to your
Yeah.
point also, recruitment is a strong opportunity.
There,
They're very excited about coming here also.
Yeah, and it is a shortage area, so any opportunities we can get to build more of these kinds of internship or residencies, we're going to continue to explore that.
Great. Thank you.
other questions? Katie?
Thank you. Yeah, Shirley, just expanding on that, could you just tell us a little bit about what that looks like in practice? Like when we have one of the residents, what the kind of like level of supervision is, what the services they're providing, kind of just like a very brief, like, so for a parent who has a child with an IEP, how might these residents be interacting with them?
I don't know the answer to that yet. It's our first time having the
Okay.
interns. I will say this though, because, and I was speaking to Marge about it also. We'll work with UConn to make sure, we're hoping that sometimes, missed sessions happen.
Mhm.
And if teachers and special education teachers are attending PPTs or different meetings, it's possible they could cover and implement the work
Mhm.
under the guidance of that special education
Right.
teacher. So that's what our intention is, that they may be able to do that as well. I think as substitutes, they're permitted to substitute
Right.
under the guidelines of the college as well.
Right. Okay, great. So they would be in place studying under those special education teachers, right? Observing and guidance. And then under that, being able to keep that continuity and that consistency as like there are gaps while they're learning and implementing the goals and using the mechanisms. Okay, fantastic.
Another win-win.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions?
Actually,
Yes, Bill.
as going back to the Google Sheets that you mentioned, you couldn't get Aspen to work because of the way attendance is handled at the elementary level. Is that gonna bifurcate our system in terms of, when you want to pull data district-wide, now you have Google Sheets versus Aspen for the rest of the district and the multi-tiered system support? It seems like, is that not?
Yeah, you're going too deep into it. So this is, the way Aspen works for attendance at the high school, because you have multiple teachers and periods that you go to, your services are built into that schedule. So if you have OT, that attendance is taken when you have OT. So you get a report, an automatic report through Aspen, just like you would with any other class. That doesn't exist at the elementary level because attendance is just once a
Right.
day. This is purely to be able to share with families when there's a missed service, which really won't impact anything with EduClimber. But if we could we're going to continue to explore, is there a way to get Aspen to do that? It should. If we took period by period attendance, it doesn't exist. It's not a requirement in California. In New York, you're required to do period, which is kind of silly in elementary school, but you literally have to take period by period attendance. So we'll continue to explore, can we get Aspen to do what we need it to do, but it won't cause any missed data or anything, other than if we look at and see that we're missing an inordinate number of services, which we aren't, we'll at least have the record of it.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Other questions? Katie?
I just want to chime in quickly just to make sure that we're all on the same page and for any of the public that the service tracking is really about the hours. As Eric was saying, it's more of an attendance. So in terms of like progress monitoring and any sort of like academic data, that is not what this is for. So that will all live in the
This is
system. the
strictly
integrate-
for.
Yes, so this is
attendance.
really just about service hours.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. Other questions from board members? All right. Thank you very much, Shirley. And we'll move on to facilities. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. In the facilities world, this summer is really about accomplishments. Obviously, the culmination of Hindley Homes and Royal will get the lion's share of the attention, but that shouldn't diminish the work that we did at the other schools. The custodial staff, the maintenance staff, we're all extremely busy, in addition to looking at ed specs, which are coming along for the middle school very nicely, so that as we sunset HHR, we can actually start to ramp up the middle school discussions. Hope you can get out there, see the new schools, all the additional work that was put in. A lot of help from the building committee to approve change orders and really help the project come along really nicely. Any questions?
Are there board questions? Dave?
At Holmes, how did it go with the gym floor library separation foundation?
Oh, very well, very well. The new finishes of the library came out spectacular. Furniture was a bit rushed at the end there, but we got it done.
You don't feel people playing basketball in the library anymore?
Well, we didn't do a 5-on-5 yet, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
And they were coating the floor today, the gym floor?
At Hindley or
Yeah, at Hindley.
Hindley, I think, is getting coded tomorrow. That was one of the last minute ads that kind of dragged a little bit, but we're able to pivot and adjust and get things buttoned up. There will be punch list work being done into the fall. Construction crews are aware that the kids are coming back tomorrow. They'll shift to second shift work, but all those little punch list items will be addressed.
And we're working on planning ribbon cutting ceremonies for the 3 schools with the building committee. So we'll be back in touch looking at late September for the ribbon cutting ceremonies. But lots of asphalt, lots of new asphalt around if you haven't been to the schools, the high school, the HHR schools, lots of fresh, clean asphalt.
Other board questions? Katie?
Oh, sorry. Comment. I just wanted to say, just to really mark the occasion of how exciting it is to complete these renovations. And I know that, looking at you, Dennis, I know there's at least a couple of us around here that remember, a lot of years about conversations about portables. So this is very much an
There are
occasion to
no
mark.
portables,
Yeah.
no portables. I think Sarah had a.
Yeah, thank you. I was gonna say yes. I mean, I'm super excited that Hindley Homes and Royal are online and finished, and it's incredible. My question is more about Middlesex, the bullet that says refining the MMS ed specs. Can you just talk to where we are with that process? Just a reminder for everybody as we go forward throughout the year, what that might look like going forward.
Sure. The middle school educational specifications are all but put together. Have to put a few finishing touches on it, but for all intents and purposes, it'll be brought back to this board in the coming months, early fall.
So we took the feedback from the last board meeting where there was a presentation with KG&D, went deeper as directed by the board, and we'll come back to the facilities committee at the first facilities meeting and start that process of bringing that to the full board.
Thanks.
So the October meeting.
Yeah.
For the facilities, right? That would be presented. Okay, great. Sarah, did you have another question?
No, that's it. Thanks so much.
Are there other board questions? Thank you. And thank you so much for all the work.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. So we'll move on to human resources, March.
So we had a busy summer, but not as busy as usual, because we had the lowest turnover rate in our teaching ranks. It's for the 11 years that I've been here. And honestly, if you add the 4 teachers who we counseled out last spring, our rate was much lower. It was well below 30. And that's, I think, has a lot to do with our teacher contract and the atmosphere in the district. The exit interviews mostly had to do with childcare and commute. And, not the other stressors that we've heard about over the years. We are nearly fully staffed, and some of this is a moving target. So one instructional coach position is vacant, and that is now intentionally so. Dr. Byrne asked that we remove the posting. This position requires incredible training and a very unique set of skills, and it's not the kind of person that you're going to find once the school year starts. So we will look again in the spring. We have people filling the other 4 spots who are exceptional, and we want to continue that way. We kept the posting open for the special education teaching position at Darien High School, but we have a retired teacher who's going to come back and do part of that. And then some of our teachers are doing overages. Unfortunately, 2 days ago, we had a French teacher at the middle school resign. So that is now an opening. It's a shortage area. And I continue to be frustrated by teachers who leave so close to the start of the school year. It's just, and frankly, that exit interview was for very trivial reasons, and not at all thinking about what's good for children. And I told Barry I was saying that, so I'm good. So the 2 occupational therapists is now down to 1. We hired 1 this week. The other one is a year-long maternity leave. That's going to be very difficult to fill. So Mrs. Klein is looking at contracted services. The executive assistant position, one is a retirement that is effective September 30th. So we've begun that search. The special education para openings were down from 3 to 2 right now. But again, the special ed and general ed paraprofessionals, the building substitutes, lunch monitors, those are transient positions. So, we're always sort of catching up on those. But otherwise, it's been a good recruiting season.
Great. Other questions, Joanna?
With the languages teacher, she has to stay for.
We're holding her for 30 days.
Okay, so then after that, if we haven't found someone to fill the position, we do overages?
So Kate Demoulas, Dr. Byrne, everyone here is working hard to be creative to find somebody, but French is a particularly difficult language to fill.
But there's a shift in.
Yeah, so we are going to shift there. We had hired a part-time French teacher, so she has capacity for 2 of the sections. We think the other French teacher will take an overage, and so then what we posted for was part-time, so 0.42 classes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other questions?
I have a couple questions.
Sarah?
Marge, first of all, thank you and congratulations on this great year. Do you have any sense of where we compare with the other districts? Are other districts feeling, as great about their hiring this year comparatively? Like, are we coming out of COVID and we're getting back to a more normal situation? And secondly, just because I'm on Zoom, how can you explain how you're staffing those 4 instructional coaches and how they'll reach out to the 5 schools?
So I'm going to defer that question to Dr. Byrne, but I will say that just based on anecdotal conversations with the other HR directors, we're more fully staffed than people around us.
That's great. Congrats to you.
Yeah, or something.
And Amy, if you can jump in, I know you've been working with Jen Falcone on the scheduling for the coaches and the assignments that they have. I know they've already been out in schools already, which is very exciting.
They're out in schools, and what we're doing is we're trying to make sure that the coaches are not traveling to more than 2 schools, because it's very important that they're able to form relationships with the staff they're working with. They also will be a part of the MTSS framework in each of the schools, because remember, they're to support really having a strong tier 1 instructional program for our students. And they'll also be able to collaborate with staff for grade level leader meetings and provide that kind of embedded professional learning. We want to make sure there's enough time in the schedules to provide some modeling in classrooms, some co-teaching, and some time for co-planning with our staff.
And they're going to be working with teams during PLCs. And we do have a consultant that's working with the team as we launch, who's an expert in the coaching model, who'll be working with the team on the implementation of the coaching model here. So the most effective scheduling, the most effective strategies. There'll be times when they're working with larger groups, times when they're working with just grade levels or pairs of teachers. So it's a multi-pronged approach.
And that work begins tomorrow. And one of the things she'll also work on is ensuring that there are systems to support the coaching, so that it's very organized and structured work.
One question on the systems to support the coaching. Will there be a structure in order for us to continue to have that tracking and systems to be able to look back on what worked and kind of track how it's going and how effective it is?
I would say that will be more anecdotal. The coaches keep track of the work they're doing with teachers, but we'll certainly see when they're working across grade levels, the effectiveness.
Thank you. Okay. Are there other board questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to elementary enrollment.
So elementary enrollment was 2,108 students. We stayed at that 108 sections that we talked about last month. There were no changes to those two sections at Holmes, third and fifth, from the prior month. And so those both remained at 3 sections apiece. And then looking at the secondary level, a little over 1,000 students at Middlesex and a little under 1,300 students at Darien High School. And so K-12, we're at 4,400 students to start the.
Okay, thank you, Rich. I have a couple questions. First of all, for the elementary enrollment, I realize we approved the 108 sections. Remind me, how did our enrollment projections for elementary compare versus budget?
So we were 2 below budget.
2 below, okay.
We were below at Hinley and then that 3rd grade at.
Okay, and then the other question I had was on the Darien High School 9th grade, which was 21 below projection. Do we have any sense at this point about the reasons for that higher variance, or how does that compare to last year, for
So no
example?
specific reasons, but 8th grade to 9th grade is one of the grades where you see a persistence ratio below 100%. And so you do have some students who choose to go to either parochial or private schools when they're entering high school. And then you do tend to see that persistence ratio rise as they get to 12th grade.
Okay, thank you. Are there other board questions? Joanna?
Just in general, looking forward, right now at the middle school, the biggest grade is the 7th grade, right, with 353. And so you have I'm assuming 3 teams, 4 teams, and 3 teams per grade. Next year's 5th grade and the year after that's 4th grade are both bigger than this class. So are you starting to think about budgeting in terms of getting more, another team in there to sort of address this bigger population shift?
We'll certainly in the budgeting process really pick apart those projections and bring forth any recommendations in the budget if we do need more teams. Yeah.
Thank you.
More to come on that.
Other questions on enrollment? Any board members? All right, thank you very much. I think we're done then with the update. So we'll thank you all for all of the work on that. So we'll move on to discussion and possible action on 2026-27 Board of Education goals.
If I could just add, so the discussion the board had about the goals back in July, there were a few minor modifications discussed at that meeting that were made. So this is literally the goals from the discussion at that meeting. There have been no additional changes since then.
Are there any board questions or feedback on the proposed board goals? This is the second reading of the goals, so we would be voting on this tonight. So is there any discussion or feedback before we make a motion to have a vote? Okay, so I will ask for a motion to approve the 2026-27 Board of Education goals. May I have a motion? That's Dennis, seconded by Joanna. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
That's unanimous. Thank you.
So we'll get those posted to the website and all of the steps that we usually go through.
Great, thank you. The next agenda, item number 6, consent agenda. The items in the consent agenda are approval of July 27 special meeting minutes, June 26, and year-end financial report and proposed budget transfers, appointment of an impartial hearing officer for student disciplinary matters, expulsions, expungement requests, and for hearing school accommodations appeals, including transportation appeals as provided by statute. Proposed schedule of 2027 Board of Education regular meetings and 2026-27 subcommittee meetings. The 2026 through 31 strategic plan, acceptance of contemplated gift for Tokenique's library furniture, and the personnel report. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Joanna, seconded by Dennis. Are there items on the consent agenda that anyone would like to discuss? And I would like to start first just with a request for Rich to go over briefly the financial report, since we did not have a finance committee meeting for the year end. Are there other discussion items?
I just wanted to say thank you to Tokeniques PTO for giving a very large and exciting donation to their school library.
And yes, thank you very much, Tokenique PTO. That is very much appreciated.
And I just had two things. So on the schedule of subcommittee meetings, there was a request from board members to add an additional facilities meeting. That was done for January, and that's reflected in the schedule. And then the feedback and discussions with the board about changes to the strategic plan. So you'll see the executive summary in the front, the addition of achievement in goal 1, communication around EduPlanet curriculum maps in the goal 4. All of those changes have been reflected from the last board conversation and the feedback that was given to us.
Thank you, Dr. Byrne. Rich, can you give a brief update just on the financial report, since we didn't have a formal meeting on that?
So we ended the year with a positive balance of $293,578. So this was an increase from May of $61,841. So we pretty much landed right in line where we thought we would land. Just highlighting some of the changes we had talked about at the last finance meeting. We did have a number of POs that ultimately we had to close across the chart of accounts. And those include things from like teaching supplies, professional materials, consumables, materials, dues, things like that. That added $30,000 to that balance. So basically half, we're just closing some of those smaller POs for a few hundred or a few $1,000s that made it up to $30,000. ESY and extended day was about $23,000 lower than expected. Part of that is due to the change in the salary schedules in terms of what kind of hours worked. Special education contract services was about $13,000 lower. We had some salary savings across a couple of positions for $11,000. Insurance census changes, retirement, and FICA was about $8,600 better. We did not do the school start time focus before June 30th focus group, so that PO was closed for $8,000. Substitutes across the district were $4,700 less than anticipated. Utilities, which is primarily electricity, was about $4,200 less than anticipated. Various facility accounts such as classroom corridors, custodial supplies, things like that were $3,900 below. And then curriculum development was $1,070. And then we had a slight shortfall in revenue for building and fields and Medicaid.
Okay, thank you. I had a question, just if you can give, excuse me, a little more detail on the rental fees for building and fields, and any reasons behind these drops, especially on the field rentals?
So on field rentals, we did have approximately 200 kids less participation in a couple sports like soccer and DYLX. And so the board charges a per player fee for outside rentals. And because there were about 200 less students playing or children within the community, that resulted in less revenue. In terms of building rentals, the superintendent did decide to waive a portion of CMEA's rental facility. They did choose to rent out all of MMS. And when they rented out all of MMS, there was a fee for every classroom with the building. They could not pay it. And so they did request a partial waiver of that invoice. And so that was about $20,000, almost half of it.
Do we have a sense of why there were 200 fewer students playing?
So no,
It's just-
we didn't get any information from the outside.
Okay, all right. Then we don't know if that's pricing related or,
We don't.
okay,
So
thank
we
you.
charge per student as opposed to per hour of like time utilization
There's a per player fee.
per player. Yeah, per player versus time.
Correct.
Okay.
And just on the ECR rate, given the state's continued lowering of the percentage, is that going to be an impact on our budget for this coming year?
So we'll watch it this year. There's a number of factors that are going to take place. What are our statewide expenses going to look like? If statewide expenses go up, even though that dollar amount's flat, it could put pressure on it down. Statewide expenses fluctuate a little bit. It could go up. And then the other thing to watch is what our threshold is going to be. And so we just finished the final state report that's due September 1st and certified it today. That'll be used to calculate the per pupil, which will then be used to calculate that threshold. And so we'll have a better idea probably in December about that.
Thank you. Are there other board questions on consent agenda items or discussion? Okay, seeing none. May I have a motion? Oh, all in favor of approving the consent agenda?
I'm in favor.
That's unanimous. Thank you. May I have a motion to, oh, sorry, we're moving to agenda item 7, public comment.
Good evening. If anyone would like to participate in public comment, please approach the podium and wait to be recognized. Once recognized, please state your name and town of residency and note that you'll have up to 3 minutes to comment. We have no public comment at this time.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? John, seconded by Dennis. All in favor?